On that rainy night in Los Angeles, few could have imagined that fate was preparing a surprising twist. The rain fell softly, licking the windows of Harmony Haven, a sophisticated and discreet restaurant that attracted the city's elite. The aroma of fresh bread and melted butter lingered in the air, while the soft lights created a cozy atmosphere. In the midst of it all, an unexpected visitor arrived. Snoop Dogg, with his laid-back style and tired expression, pushed through the restaurant's heavy wooden door. The previous weeks had been exhausting. Between the release of his latest album and the challenges of his businesses, he had barely slept. All he wanted was a night of peace, far from curious glances and the typical flattery of his public life. The young hostess, Lara, noticed his presence but did not recognize him. Wearing a worn-out black sweater and faded jeans, he seemed far from the typical Harmony Haven customer. "Table for one?" Lara asked, distracted, as she flipped through the reservation book. "Yes, preferably in a more private corner," Snoop answered, grateful for the unintentional discretion. While Snoop got settled in the kitchen, Diego Martinez was preparing for yet another long night. At 35, Diego was a veteran of the restaurant business, but that night promised to be challenging. His mother's medical bills and his younger sister's college expenses weighed on his mind, making him even more annoyed with customers who, all too often, seemed oblivious to the real world. "Did you see the guy who just came in?" asked Sophia, one of the waitresses, as she grabbed an order. "Looks like he took a wrong turn on his way to McDonald's." Diego looked through the kitchen door and saw Snoop at table 15. "Great," he muttered. "Another one who'll take up space for hours and just order a salad and tap water." Determined to keep his composure, Diego picked up his notepad and went to wait on the new customer. "Good evening, I'm Diego, and I'll be your waiter tonight. Anything to drink while you look at the menu?" "A straight whiskey, please," Snoop answered, without taking his eyes off his phone. Diego raised an eyebrow. Harmony Haven was famous for its wine list, not its whiskeys. "We have an 18-year-old Macallan at $145 a glass," he informed, emphasizing the price. "That's fine," Snoop replied, oblivious to the waiter's tone. Back in the kitchen, Diego remarked to Sophia about the customer. "They don't even know how to appreciate what they have. This one seems lost." As the night went on, Diego became increasingly irritated. Snoop's orders seemed only to reinforce his preconceived notions. When the customer ordered foie gras and a rare filet mignon, Diego couldn't resist a sarcastic comment. "Foie gras is sophisticated. Maybe it's not to everyone's liking." "I'm sure," Snoop replied, staying calm. As the night progressed, Diego's remarks grew bolder. "Maybe Burger King is more your style," he suggested, bringing another round of whiskey. Meanwhile, Snoop remained calm, almost amused by the situation, discreetly recording their interaction on his phone. Other customers began to notice the growing tension. A couple celebrating their anniversary whispered to each other, intrigued by the dynamic between the waiter and the mysterious man. On the other side of the restaurant, a group of entertainment executives watched with interest, some even capturing the moment on their phones. Diego was about to present the check, which exceeded $3,000. "Let's see if he can really pay for all this," he muttered, convinced the card would be declined. But when he handed over the bill, Snoop simply pulled out an elegant black card, leaving Diego speechless. When Thomas, the restaurant manager, tried to intervene, Snoop interrupted him with a calm smile. "Everything is excellent, especially the service. It has a unique touch." In the kitchen, Chef Jules, known for his precision and professionalism, couldn't contain his curiosity. "Who is this customer that's causing such a stir?" The answer came unexpectedly. Sophia, who had begun to suspect Snoop's true identity, saw a video on one of the executives' phones. "Diego, do you know who that guy is?" Diego, too caught up in his disdain for the customer, ignored the warning. But when Snoop began asking specific questions about the music industry, Diego finally started putting the pieces together. The customer he had treated with such contempt was none other than Snoop Dogg. The revelation was shocking. Diego stood paralyzed, recalling every cutting remark he had made throughout the night. I didn't know," he began, but Snoop interrupted him. "You were saying something about legends?" asked Snoop with an enigmatic smile. The silence in the restaurant was palpable, Everyone present awaited the outcome of that unlikely encounter. Sophia, nervous, tried to intervene, but Snoop raised his hand, indicating it was all right. "Brutal honesty is a rare quality," he stated. "Especially in my world where everyone says what they think I want to hear." Snoop's words echoed through the room. Diego, still in shock, tried to apologize but was interrupted once more. "You provided the most authentic material I've recorded in months," Snoop said, pointing to his phone. "The question is, what should I do with it?" Diego could barely respond. The tension in the air was almost unbearable, until Snoop finally revealed his intention. "Have you ever thought about working outside the restaurant business?" The question left Diego stunned. Before he could answer, Snoop continued, "I need someone who's honest, no filters, someone who sees things differently. How about you?" The silence was broken by Sophia's nervous laughter. "This is surreal," she muttered. Diego hesitated. "Me? Work for you?" "Exactly," Snoop confirmed. "Your perspective is valuable. And by the way, the salary will be enough to cover your mother's treatment and your sister's college expenses." Tears brimmed in Diego's eyes, reflecting the magnitude of the moment. His night had started like any other, in a long series of hardships, but it was about to become the turning point of his life. The night seemed to stretch on at Harmony Haven. The staff, who had previously followed the mechanical routine of service, were now attuned to the unfolding of that improbable story. Diego, still processing Snoop's offer, struggled to find the right words. Working directly with one of music's biggest legends was something he never could have imagined when he started his shift. "I don't know," Diego began, visibly nervous. "I mean, I'm just a waiter. I don't know anything about the entertainment industry or communication." "That's exactly why I'm offering you this job," Snoop replied, in a calm, thoughtful tone. "I don't need someone else to tell me what I want to hear. I need someone who brings an honest perspective, even if it means saying things I don't like." Diego looked around. His co-workers were watching with incredulous expressions. Sophia was on the verge of tears, still absorbing the idea that her friend was being hired by a music legend. Thomas, the manager, seemed conflicted. On one hand, he was relieved the night hadn't ended in disaster. On the other, he wasn't sure how to deal with losing one of his most experienced employees. "What if I mess everything up?" Diego asked, his voice heavy with insecurity. "I'm known for being too direct, not exactly the diplomatic type you'd expect for a job like this." Snoop chuckled softly. "You've screwed up throughout the night, but it was exactly that mistake that brought you here. I'd rather have someone who errs by being honest than someone who gets it right by being fake." Diego took a deep breath. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. The offer was tempting but also terrifying. He had always been someone who dealt with life's harsh realities day by day, and now he had a chance to completely change the course of his and his family's lives. "If I accept," he began hesitantly, "will you promise to let me keep being honest even if I sometimes go overboard?" "No promises," Snoop said, smiling. "But that's exactly why I'm hiring you. Let's do this. Try it for a month. If it doesn't work, you can go back to doing whatever you want. But honestly, I think it's going to work out." Diego nodded slowly. It felt surreal, but something inside him said this was the opportunity he had been waiting for all his life, even if he hadn't known it. "Okay, I accept." The restaurant burst into spontaneous applause. The remaining customers, who had silently followed the exchange, cheered the unexpected turn of events. Chef Jules emerged from the kitchen with a bottle of champagne. "Diego, mon ami, you deserve it," Thomas tried to intervene. "Mr. Dogg, I understand this night was unique, but Diego is still part of our team. I'm not sure we can—" "Relax, Thomas," Snoop interrupted with a laid-back smile. "I'll cover any losses. And if needed, I can help promote Harmony Haven. Who knows? Maybe it'll bring in more customers." Thomas fell silent for a moment, weighing the offer. It was undeniable that this night had already become something of an urban legend, and the possibility that it might generate positive publicity for the restaurant was real. "All right, Diego," Thomas finally said, with a resigned smile. "I just hope you remember where you started." "Absolutely, Thomas," Diego replied, moved. "I'll never forget." Sophia hugged Diego tightly. I can't believe you're going to work with Snoop Dogg. This is unbelievable. I can't believe it either, Diego responded, laughing nervously, but it looks like it's really happening. As the champagne was poured, Snoop approached Diego once more. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I'll introduce you to my team. And don't worry, they're way more formal than I am. You'll do great. Diego smiled, still trying to take in everything that had happened. He knew this opportunity would not only change his finances, but would also give him a new perspective on life. After all, it's not every day a waiter becomes a communications advisor to a world-renowned celebrity. The celebration went on late into the night. The few remaining customers shared stories and laughter, while Chef Jules prepared an improvised breakfast to mark the occasion. Diego, still in disbelief, received countless messages from friends and family who somehow had already heard about what happened. His sister, Maria, sent a tearful audio message. "You did it, Diego. I'm so proud of you." At the end of the night, Snoop left the restaurant, but not before leaving a generous tip for the entire staff. "Thanks for the hospitality, and for the honesty," he said, winking at Diego before heading out. When the door closed, Diego looked around, seeing his co-workers still stunned by everything that had happened. "Well, I guess it's official. I've had the craziest night of my life." Everyone laughed, releasing the tension built up over the course of the evening. Sophia raised a makeshift toast with the last glass of champagne to Diego, the waiter who became an executive. The next day, Diego arrived at Snoop Dogg's office promptly at 9 a.m. He was still anxious, but at the same time felt a strange confidence. Perhaps it was the fact that for once someone had valued his honesty. When he was introduced to the team, he realized Snoop hadn't been exaggerating. They were indeed much more formal, but Diego decided that regardless he would remain authentic. His first challenge was to review a press release. As he read the draft, he noticed it had too many generic sentences and empty words. Taking a deep breath, he made the necessary changes and presented the new document to Snoop. "I like it," Snoop said after reading it. "Straight to the point, no nonsense. That's exactly what I need." Diego smiled, sensing he was on the right track. In the following days, he adapted to the new environment, learning more about the entertainment world and contributing his ideas. Gradually, he earned the team's trust and realized that his brutal honesty, so criticized in the past, was now his greatest asset. A month later, Snoop Dogg held a press conference to announce new projects. Diego, who had helped prepare the event, stood backstage, nervous but confident. When the press conference started, Snoop made a point of mentioning him. "I want to introduce my new communications advisor, Diego. He is proof that honesty and authenticity still have a place in the entertainment world." Applause filled the room, and Diego, overwhelmed, could only wave in gratitude. He knew his life had changed forever, all thanks to an unlikely night when he dared to be himself, even if it meant being brutally honest with a music legend.